A witness sat at the table in the House Judiciary Committee hearing room and said one sentence about Sharia tribunals operating inside the United States. She named two organizations. She named the man who heads one of them. Then she said those organizations are issuing religious orders to kill apostates and blasphemers on American soil. There is a name in the 11-page tribunal policy out of Dallas you haven't heard yet. We're getting to it in about 4 minutes. There is a quote that organization put on its own website. There is a little girl born somewhere in Texas this year who has no idea what her constitutional rights are because her community will never tell her. The witness's sentence is in the back half of this video. The Republican from Wyoming sitting across from her had been waiting for it. The hearing room was a House Judiciary Committee chamber on the 3rd floor of the Rayburn building. The witness was identified, for the record, as Miss Meckelberg, a researcher and former member of a Muslim community who had spent more than a decade documenting how Sharia-based tribunals operate inside American cities. The Republican congresswoman from Wyoming was Harriet Hagman, a constitutional lawyer who had spent 25 years arguing federal cases before she ran for Congress. She knew how to question a witness. She held a printed document on her desk. The hearing had a single subject: Sharia tribunals in the United States. Meckelberg had testified at previous hearings that these tribunals existed in at least a dozen American cities and that women and children inside them were systematically denied constitutional protections. Hagman had thanked her then. Today, she had a follow-up. She wanted Meckelberg to put a name to one specific girl. Not a category, not a statistic. One child born this year somewhere in Dallas-Fort Worth area who is about to grow up answering to a religious court that the United States government cannot see inside. Hagman began by reading from the website of an actual tribunal operating just outside Dallas. She did not paraphrase. She quoted. The tribunal described itself, in its own words, as a unique institution of its kind in the United States, established with the intention of setting a precedent that would be emulated and duplicated throughout the country. That is not a fringe claim. That is the tribunal's mission statement. The same website continued. The courts of the United States of America, the tribunal wrote, are costly and consist of ineffective lawyers. Hagman let the line sit. The committee staff in the back row had heard it before. The C-SPAN cameras were rolling. The tribunal was telling its members in public the American judicial system is inferior to its own. Hagman moved to the Constitution. She named the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 14th Amendments. She read them out loud. She asked Meckelberg whether voluntary participation in a Sharia tribunal could ever truly be voluntary when the participant is a teenage girl who has never been outside her religious community. Meckelberg answered. She said that from birth to death in communities across Texas, there were now fully operational parallel societies. An American child could be born, raised, married, and buried without ever speaking to a non-Muslim. And inside those societies, she said, there were courts. And this is the part most coverage of the hearing left out. The imams running those courts, Meckelberg said, were not American-trained scholars. They were coming in from outside the country. And they were not just imams. They were Sharia judges. She named two organizations that the public has never heard discussed in a congressional hearing before. The Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, the Fiqh Council of North America. The Fiqh Council is currently chaired by a scholar named Yasir Qadhi. Meckelberg named him by name on the record. She said the assembly was the legal arm operating inside the broader community network, the body that issues fatwas, the religious rulings that Sharia courts inside the United States are then expected to enforce. Stay with me, because the next sentence is the one Hagman had been waiting for. There's a detail in what Meckelberg said next that nobody in the room saw coming. The assembly's fatwas, Meckelberg said, were not theoretical. They were not historical. They were current. They were issued this decade. And one specific category of those fatwas, the category Hagman had brought her here today to discuss, concerned what would happen to apostates and blasphemers, people who left the faith, people who insulted it. There is a difference between fearing what a foreign religious court would do to you if you went there and discovering that the same court has set up an outpost in your American hometown and is already issuing rulings about you. Mecklenburg drew that distinction inside her testimony. She said it without raising her voice. She said that the little girl being born this year inside one of those communities will never know she has First Amendment protections. She will never know she has the right to leave the faith. She will answer to her family. She will answer to her imam, and she will answer to a Sharia jurist who, in Mecklenburg's words, may have been appointed by the same body that just issued a fatwa about people in her position. Hagman pivoted to oversight. She listed the things American courts do: public records, filed decisions, attorneys in the room, transcripts of every proceeding. Then she asked Mecklenburg the question every member of the subcommittee already knew the answer to. How does any of that exist inside a Sharia tribunal in Texas? Mecklenburg's answer was 4 words long: it does not. And I'm saving for after this what Mecklenburg said next, because the line that made the hearing go viral landed in the next 30 seconds. Here's what happened next. I'm going to describe it as it appears in the official hearing transcript. The Sharia judges, Mecklenburg said, who sit on those councils, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists and the Fiqh Council, are putting out fatwas that you can kill apostates, blasphemers. She paused. She said it again. This is happening inside America. The room did not gasp. The room did not erupt. The room went absolutely still. Hagman did not interrupt. The chairman did not bang the gavel. 2 members of the subcommittee staff looked up from their notes at the same instant. The Republican from Texas at the far end of the dais leaned forward into his microphone. Hagman simply asked Mecklenburg to confirm that this is a violation of the Constitution and the rights of the individuals who are involved in those tribunals, correct? Mecklenburg answered with 1 word: correct. The hearing did not stop. There is a Democratic congressman from Memphis who is about to be recognized next. What he said after he heard this testimony is the next story. After the gavel, the clip of Mecklenburg's testimony spread across the American social media within 48 hours. The Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America has not commented. The Fiqh Council of North America has not commented. Yasir Qadhi has not commented. The Dallas Arena Tribunal, whose website Hagman quoted in the hearing, has quietly taken its founding language down. Somewhere in a Texas suburb, a 4-year-old American girl is growing up inside a community that will never tell her she has a right to leave it. The Democratic congressman who was recognized after Hagman did not address what Mecklenburg said. He talked about something else entirely for the next 5 minutes. There was a question Mecklenburg asked the room that nobody on the committee answered. Who speaks for the little girl? Watch what came next.
Thank you. In our previous hearing on this topic, I focused on how Sharia-based tribunals will jeopardize America's rights to equal protection and due process under the law, particularly in cases involving women and minors. We learned that the presence of Sharia-based tribunals in the United States date back decades, and that it is common practice for these tribunals to stray from traditional judicial proceedings, meaning that participants risk losing protections guaranteed under the Constitution, as was just being debated. One example of such a tribunal operating near Dallas before altering its website actually prided itself on being a unique institution of its kind in the United States, with the intention of setting a precedent that would be emulated and duplicated throughout the country. That same tribunal further claimed that, quote, conflicting problems within American Muslim society may range from personal and family matters, such as marriage and divorce, as well as disputes among community members and those in positions of leadership. The courts of the United States of America are costly and consist of ineffective lawyers, end quote. To be clear, conformity to the Constitution is the governing factor behind the operation of our judicial system. The 5th, 6th, 7th, and 14th Amendments are there to ensure that everyone has a right to a fair trial. While the First Amendment is intended to ensure that every American citizen can practice the religion of their choosing, it does not permit any parallel tribunal or body to supersede the role of our judiciary in the protections of those constitutional rights. Ms. Meckelberg, Sharia-based tribunals often label themselves as offering voluntary services, but is it not true that individuals have been coerced into using these bodies because of social, familial, and other community pressures?
Yes, I was actually saying earlier that right now in communities all across Texas, all across different places throughout the United States, from birth to death, they now have full operational societies, that somebody could actually be born in America and never have to operate outside of and deal with any kind of non-Muslim. So within these societies, they have their courts. And if you notice, most of the imams that are the heads that are coming from outside the country are Sharia judges. And these Sharia judges hand down these different, they use many different names. They will say that they're an imam, they're a Sharia, expert, a Sharia jurist, etc. But if you go and you look, these are the people who are acting as the judges within these communities. And there's an entire organization around this. If you look up the Assembly Muslim of Jurists in America, they're issuing fatwas. We have fiqh council people who are also, again, that's a Sharia judge. These are people who are putting out fatwas that you can kill apostates, blasphemers. This is happening inside America. And again,
That's clearly a violation of the Constitution and the rights of the individuals who are involved in those tribunals, correct?
correct.
Greetings hobbyists, this is our Sands of Vol. In this video we're having a look at the Loft Curves add-on from Mark Kingsnorth. So if you don't know who Mark Kingsnorth is, he does a range of different add-ons. I'm generally interested in the ones that are to do with curves or placing objects onto surfaces, but he does a range of other things as well. so is well worth checking out. Okay.
Fajny to papier zawsze jakiś kolorowy. No, to jest tylko kokos, co? To załóżmy, po co? Ładny. Taki jest. Domowy trochę, ale... Ja wiem, nie wiem, się to. Nie mówię, że czułem. Chciałbym jakiś poziom, gdzie on się nie zajmuje niczym innym, tylko swoimi modelami. Jakbym założył Patrona, jakbym miał 2000 tych na YouTube subskrybentów i nawet jakbym, wiesz, jakbym narysował 50 supporterów, to miesięcznie nawet 300-400 dolarów wystawać. Z modeli jeszcze, wiesz, tego 1000 wyklepać do miesiąca tylko. I wtedy mógłbym full time tylko siedzieć i to robić. I to wyrosło, no. Jestem pewien. Tego będę dążył. No to bardzo. Ja ci się tam przyjdzie.